Awesome. This is being live streamed. Got it. Cool. The Zoom link's up. Oh, you're totally good. Thank you. In the past, I've hit the, is it not on the screen for you? No. Next to share screen. Cool. Awesome. Are people in the waiting room? Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for everybody to join. Hi, everyone. Thanks for making your way in. Welcome to Mainvest. Hello. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, Mike. How are we doing?
Thanks for joining. I see you're calling in from Flower House.
I am indeed.
Awesome. Nice. Yeah, we're just going to wait for a few more people to make their way in. But really excited to have everybody on today and just chat about how Mike and Patty's has really been able to take over and what's in store for the brand, all of the marketing campaigns you're working on, and of course, going to talk about Vital Farms. Yeah.
Great.
Thanks again for joining. Yeah, anytime. I see more people are coming in. Thanks everybody for joining us. Maybe we'll get started at 1:05. We can aim for that time. But yeah, excited to have everybody. Don't mind the busy streets. Salem is popping right now. Awesome. Everyone's coming in. Excited to have you all here. Here's a photo of the Jamaica Plain location that Mike and Patty's has recently opened up. It's awesome. The inside is gorgeous. We'll get started in a couple minutes. Maybe we'll give it 2 more minutes and then kick things off. But excited to have everyone. How's everybody's day? Good? Yeah, nice.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Abby
Hi.
and Brad on the same call. Oh my God, I love it.
Happening.
Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Of course. Thank you for having me. So I was just trying to get my audio synced up.
Nice. Yeah, I'm so excited to have you on. We're just chatting about Boss Food Dudes, of course.
Oh, you guys are the
when
best.
We were talking about creatives.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. So exciting. I'll give it literally another minute. There are a lot of mics. They're taking over.
No patties in here, though.
Ugh, shame. Shame, shame, shame. Just kidding. Excited for everyone to come in. Maybe like 30 more seconds. This is the first brick and mortar webinar, part of our series of just looking to help small businesses push out even more resources to them to be able to grow. So we're excited to kick it off with you all. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think now's a good time to kick things off. Yeah, awesome. Welcome everyone to the Brick and Mortar webinar series. I'm Abby. I'm the community manager here at Mainvest, and I'm excited to connect with you all. And we'll be touching small business marketing and working with freelancers to expand your brand today. So yeah, welcome. Thanks for joining. Feel free to go to the next slide. So Mainvest is the investment platform for Main Street. We built a vehicle to truly align community investment interests, unlocking direct capital from consumers and retail investors, and efficiently deploying it through the voice of market demand. This is a little glimpse into the platform, and we're excited to chat with you all more about Mainvest. Next slide. Great. So through Mainvest, everyday people with as little as $100 can invest in local businesses. And yeah, we're really excited to connect in everything. And if you're a small business or a medium-sized business looking to launch a new venture or expand your existing brand, Mainvest is here to help. Definitely reach out to us after this chat to learn more. Great. So I'm excited to introduce our guest today. We have Michael Gurvich, who is the owner of M&A Brands and really is Mike and Patty's. So I'm excited to have you on. And then we also have Bradley Ellis, the owner of Breakthrough Marketing. And yeah, thank you to both of you for joining today and being in to experiment on this new Mainvest project. I would love to hear, Mike, you touch on how you got into the restaurant business, what really sparked all of this. I would love to hear about that.
I guess at the end of the day, it's just a passion for really good food, especially things like sandwiches and pizza and pastries and just things that kind of come in kind of a more, we could say like a craft casual segment, things that touch on that versus, like I love fine dining, but that's not really my lane. So more of the kind of craft, I don't want to call it fast food, but yeah, craft casual.
Yeah, high quality, but getting it fast. I can't complain about that. Thank you for that. And then moving on to Bradley, I would love to hear about how you got into marketing, what really kicked off you launching your own marketing agency.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for having us today. I'm excited to dive into this a little bit more. How I got into marketing. So I went to school for marketing, worked for a few years, doing more of the sales side of marketing and advertising. Sorry? What? It cut out?
That was not me. I think we're good. Someone just muted themselves.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, so worked for a few years in marketing at a media group and then decided to set off and do my own thing and work with small to mid-sized businesses like Mike and Patty's to just help continue the growth and expansion that they've had. And yeah, I love getting to work with creative, passionate people. So
amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for that. And then I would love to hear about how you both got connected in the first place. What really led Mike and Patty's to Breakthrough Marketing? I don't know, Mike, if you have an answer to that, but I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, I think we had like a scope and a proposal out on a website for finding like a freelance marketer. I don't actually, it was our like admin / chief of staff that put that up. I don't actually remember the platform, but I think Bradley had responded. It might have even just been Craigslist, to be honest with you. We were just looking for somebody local that we could kind of collaborate with, and Bradley responded, and we thought it was a good fit. So we, conducted some meetings and, like interviews, and it's been, I think, just under 2 years. I think it's probably been like maybe like over a year and a half, but I think under 2 years, if that makes sense, I think.
Nice. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Definitely.
Great to hear. And then I'd love to hear about how the three M&A brands interact with one another. This is such a big part of the marketing that you're all doing. Yeah, I know it's a sibling relationship, but I don't know if either of you want to touch on that.
Yeah, I can start. I guess it's a little, Bradley and I have like coordinated obviously those efforts in the sense of just like making sure that the biggest challenge is making sure that the brands are like the relationship with the brands is communicated and obviously still marketed separately where they, if somebody comes to Hotbox, they don't necessarily need to know anything about Mike and Patty's and vice versa. The biggest kind of point of context is that these brands often co-locate.
I think your audio just cut out. Is that just me?
Sorry, I just cut out.
You're back. No, you're totally good.
The most interesting, I guess, or most important part of context is that a lot of these brands co-mingled, they're co-located into a single space. So the challenge is not confusing our potential guests or customers, where we want to make sure they understand like the offering. So for example, we have a location in Somerville at a market called Bow Market, and that's been a hot box for 5 years or so now. And we initially, we were only open at night, and there was a point during COVID that we launched, leaving out some pieces, but basically we went back to the landlord and said, hey, can we operate Mike and Patty's here in the morning? And it was just a challenge to figure out how those brands could be communicated as basically like it's two different restaurants in the same space. So that's kind of the same way that the marketing, the same challenge with the marketing, where obviously we have to communicate to the guests that we're separate brands, but if people know about both of them, then we have to just, there's like all, a relationship that we can kind of tell a story about, and kind of, I'll let Bradley touch on some specific ways we do that for marketing, but we want them to be able to live separately and not confuse current guests, potential customers, but we also want to utilize the opportunity to use them to help market each other. And so it's kind of like the whole separate and together approach.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I think that is a good distinction. Obviously, they're all separate brands in the way that they message, and the the copywriting that we do, and the different elements that we use, and even the different types of creators that we collaborate with, because they all have a little bit of a different MO. Like the Hotbox brand specifically is allowed to be a little bit more edgy and a little more like risque, if you will, whereas like Flower House Bakery is more modern, like, and so we're like a little safer with that brand. And so I think it's been fun though, finding ways to have them interact, showcasing, okay, we're using Flower House bread made from our facility in Newton, we're sending it out to Mike and Patty's, and so just how they're all correlated. And yeah, it's been beneficial too on social to leverage those brands, like leverage the audiences together.
Cool. That's amazing. Yeah. It's great watching it all happen on social and everything. And then we can move on to the next slide, actually. Thank you both of you for that. We're going to be touching how it's been working with creatives. It's really great to see so many collaboration posts on Instagram, and so many people be featured on TikTok as well for Mike and Patty's, that I'm really curious about all of this, and it would be useful to all our business owners tuning in. How has Mike and Patty's built relationships and trust with creatives? That's my first question.
Bradley, I'll let you.
Sure. You want? Yeah, sure. So I think we really pride ourselves on being able to give creatives an opportunity to do what they do best, right? We go in there and take photos and videos ourselves occasionally. And I think we've tried that, and we've worked with some great photographers. But there's also, a huge opportunity to get this genuine, authentic content from, real creators that are doing this every day. And I think the luxury that we have specifically with Mike and Patty's is that because the quality is so high, and what they've built at Mike and Patty's throughout the year is so strong in the community, we really do have those loyal fans that are ride or die for that brand specifically. So kind of, capitalizing on that, also giving them an opportunity to have their really like their art be showcased, because they may be considered influencers, if you want to call it, or creators or whatever it is, but at the end of the day, they are artists creating something, and they all have their unique perspective on things. So I think that's why we work with a wide variety of influencers or creators, because we like to let different perspectives shine. And shout out to the Boston Food Dudes. I see that they're in here. They are also great creators, and they go above and beyond just like the sizzle reels. They actually put, some narrative stories behind it. So they're great to work on for specific campaigns.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for being here, Boston Food Dudes. And that was a great explanation. Thank you so much. Is there anything in particular that qualifies somebody as being a good influencer for Mike and Patty specifically? Of course, allowing people to have their creative voice is really great, and wanting to see unique ideas around making content. But I'd love to hear if there is a specific qualification that you look for.
Mike, is there anything specific? I mean, I have a few things that I noticed, but Mike, is there anything?
I mean, the elephant in the room would just be like their audience. At the end of the day, like it sounds like superficial, but like we want to work with people who have a reach. Like we're pretty open. Like we like to work with new people, and we try to be pretty, like try to like take on a good amount of kind of like influencer partners or whatnot. But I think important to have a decent reach and be active in the community, right? So it's like these kind of trusted sources that these influencers, that's what they kind of become. They become like a trusted source in the community. It's kind of like I guess the analogy would be like these influencers have replaced in a lot of ways Yelp. They hold a lot of they're like a point of validity, like a point of kind of validation for the businesses that they partner with to promote, right? So it's important to have somebody who's built that and kind of is involved in the community. So of course, like anybody can kind of be like, it's such a weird term, it's influencer, but it's basically just somebody who commands, I don't want to say authority, like authenticity, and somebody whose opinion or somebody whose content is, genuine and validated within the community that they're operating in.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. Great insight. Yeah, I don't know if you have anything you want to add, Bradley, but
yeah, I think the main thing to piggyback off of that, when you said genuine, like I think authentic is a huge thing when we're chatting with people about specific campaigns or what they have in mind when they're going to do a video. We do like everybody to have like their own take on it. So we don't want to just, I mean, we obviously do focus on if they have a reach in like the foodie community, their audience. But also, we don't want to just partner with just anyone just based off of the reach. We want to make sure the audience makes sense for what we're providing, and that it's a natural fit. They actually do like our product, and it doesn't come off too like gimmicky or salesy. We want it to just be somewhat natural. So, but also a good point about the creators really being the new Yelp or review sites, because when you go to a new city now, people are either on TikTok or Instagram looking at like, okay, cool coffee shops, cool breakfast spots, where that used to be, all through different mediums like review sites.
yeah, definitely. It's crazy how there's so much out there for ways to validate the product and have it hyped up. So excited that we're diving into that. And my last question on this slide is there an influencer who has really stood out to you and you've been able to use for even multiple brands or multiple campaigns? I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, I mean, I see the couple that you have on there are good examples, actually. Her tag is "What's Nick Eating?" Nicolette, she's really good. And she works with a wide variety of brands, but always has like a new take on things. Kate's Plates is on there. We just recently started working with her. She's great. She's like on the come up right now.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mentioned Boston Food Dudes, of course. A lot of different people. Linnea from 617 Bites. We obviously work with Paige Harding on photo and video stuff, a good amount. And then I would say also to go back to the loyal, we're lucky to have a lot of the loyal base of Mike and Patty's. We're super fortunate to have people that just naturally are getting us user generated content. Sometimes we're partnering intentionally with them, and sometimes they're going out and having having their breakfast and getting an awesome video and just religiously showing love for us. So we try to do like guest appreciation posts to showcase that, we do see you guys out there repping the brand, and we appreciate it. So I would say shout out to those people. I know Allie from Love Food is like a big one that we always get. She always mentions us. So yeah, very grateful for everybody.
I definitely love how you're featuring reviews and just building community around the people who know you best. So definitely a great thing you're doing on all socials. Thanks for that. We can move on to the next slide. I would love to touch on this excellent marketing and partnership campaign with Vital Farms. Do you all see what I did there? Ha ha ha. So we can jump into really talking about how this started, and that can be the first part of the slide, and then we'll go into a few questions I have for you. What kicked off working with Vital Farms in general? I know something had to spark it. So yeah.
Yeah, sure. So it's really simple. Like we want to kind of control our quality and our output to our guests in the community as much as possible. And one of the ways we can do that is through buying quality inputs for our guests. And one of the ways we've done that outside of Vital Farms is we've started our Flower House Bakery, which is where we make all our bread, and we do a lot of our prep, our English muffins, obviously. And that was just an interest of, at the end of the day, controlling our own destiny. Like in today's world, there's a lot of businesses, and including us, that still rely on outside vendors. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to eliminate as much of the leaving things into others' hands, which obviously can be really good if you source things from really good vendors like Vital. But also, like, at the end of the day, like if you're leaving something up to putting it in somebody else's hands, it leaves an element of potential inconsistency or lack of quality or supply chain issues like we've seen the last few years. So to get into the Vital Farms situation is like we are, Mike and Patty is our main concept. We're in 5 locations, and we hope to eventually be in many more. And for us, we don't want to position ourselves as a like nominally good brand or an okay brand, or kind of like a brand that competes on price. Like we want to compete on quality. Like we want to have a high, strong marketplace value proposition where our brand is a brand that works with high quality vendors, high quality ingredients, and we want to work with as many of those as we can to produce the best product possible with our guests, and also align with companies that have their own like mission, vision, and values that we align with. So Vital Farms it's a brand that's known nationwide, which is great, has a great brand awareness, and also their eggs are just phenomenal. So we went out in the search of looking for a high quality egg, and we went down a lot of different kind of avenues. Like we reached out to a lot of different types of vendors, and at the end of the day, they were the best choice in terms of a brand that could consistently get us an egg that we would be proud to serve and feature in all our sandwiches. So at the end of the day, it was an easy decision because it's kind of the Goldilocks place where they're big enough to make sure that we can always get their eggs that are high quality, but they're also not too big where they're able to control the quality. And looking to align with brands and kind of co-brand marketing initiatives through obviously just using their things in our products, it was just a win-win in so many different ways. Like, yes, their eggs, they're more expensive than other eggs. They're even, potentially could be more expensive than other, high quality eggs that could be found locally. But at the end of the day, they're able to provide us with the inventory consistently year round, and that's elevating the guest experience and also creating a consistent guest experience. Like there's a problem that if we went with potentially a different type of egg vendor, we might not be able to maintain inventory availability, or we might not be able to maintain quality, and that's for us, like, I don't want to have to deal with that. So it was really just a match, made in heaven in a lot of different ways. And hopefully I was able to give you guys the reasons why we wanted to work with them.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's great to see that the vendor you were looking for when it came to eggs that matched the demand that you have for them, especially when one of your brands is a bakery. That's definitely a requirement. So thank you for that. And then I would love to hear about this marketing campaign in particular, which definitely might be an answer between you both, but what sparked this? Obviously we've all heard about different crises happening around eggs and the limited supply of them in the US, but I'd love to hear about the creativity that went into this.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a bit of a right place, right time, and then sort of doubled down on it. I know Mike has a great relationship with their team over at Vital Farms. And we've met with them a couple of different times, but specifically our contact there, Aaron, who is in charge of marketing, we all chatted about this idea to give away some free eggs, and we focused it around the fancy, which is one of the two most popular sandwiches at Mike and Patty's. You have the grilled crack and the fancy are kind of like the two staples. But yeah, I thought it would be a good way to, it's like a little tongue-in-cheek playing into the egg shortage. Like we're out here, we're for the common man and woman, giving back, helping people out during this time. And also obviously like we're also driving sales to the business and getting our brand out there. But it's a great way to like unveil this partnership that has been a long time in the works. So it was kind of like a fun way to just something a little different than just like a post and an email. We really wanted to do like a whole promotion behind it. So we were lucky to have buy-in from influencers, like some local publications, and then also try out some email and text marketing campaigns, which were pretty successful. Sorry.
Amazing.
Voice here.
I'll give you a break from explaining for sure. But that's extraordinary. Thank you, everyone. I could probably keep going with egg puns, but I will stop myself. And yeah, I'm definitely ready for the next slide. Thank you for that explanation. I would love to chat here with you, Mike, about telling the brand story on Mainvest, what brought you to Mainvest, and really just the layout of the platform for what your business is all about. It's so focused around the customer, and it's obvious on your Mainvest landing page. I would love to hear about what brought you to Mainvest. Yeah. Was there anything?
Sure. It was a long time coming. We're looking for creative fundraising options. Didn't really necessarily want to take on like traditional debt or equity investment, just for the simple fact that banks are often, let's face it, unless you already have the money in the bank, chances are banks aren't going to work with you. Obviously there's a whole rabbit hole to that. There are definitely programs and things you can do to get financing through a bank. We kind of did like a value proposition, did like an analysis based on the different types of financing and investment available. And we had been looking at Mainvest for a while. We considered using it for our bakery. We had really liked how Mainvest engages a community, right? So it's not just an investment platform. It's a platform that connects the business to the community, which is kind of the differentiation. And it was one of the earliest crowdfunding platforms. So that's really the biggest part of it, where there's not really, there might be some other options now, but basically it was kind of, I think what triggered, I'm not going to speak for Mainvest because I don't know exactly their specific story. I'm sure, this crowdfunding platform, but there's, Indiegogo and Kickstarter and those kind of companies that were focused on bringing a product to market, whereas Mainvest typically aligns more with like brick and mortar, usually like service businesses, where it's more of a community-based approach. Like it's physical space where people can come in and actually see the operation, and that works really well with engaging the community. Because if it was just like a product or something that was like direct to consumer through Amazon or like a shipping type of platform, I just don't think there would be the community engagement. Whereas the ability to be involved in a brick and mortar space, people can come and actually see with their kind of own eyes and engage with the brand and kind of see their quote unquote investment kind of pay dividends, like literally. That was kind of the most attractive thing, and it's fairly good kind of from the rates and the way that the investment works is it's pretty attractive to a small business that needs some funding to execute on a project.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. It's great to see your community from what you've been able to accomplish, just get onto the platform and invest in that Jamaica Plain location. And it was so exciting to visit. And I'm really glad it opened up. In terms of marketing around Mainvest, was there anything you saw that you could really point out in particular for what got people to the platform? Was there any type of push that was significant? I would love to hear about that. If the
Sure,
answer
I think,
yeah,
I think we engaged. I think Bradley, obviously, it's been almost a year and a half since we launched that campaign. Maybe, about a year and 3 months. I think we launched right at the end of 21 or very beginning of 22. I think that we were able to utilize that in our social media and email. And I think just obviously Mainvest has their own marketing, but I think I'm not saying most because I don't know the actual numbers, of course, but I think a lot of our investors were actually local. So that's like again, engaging with the community. Like if there was somebody that they were from Chicago, they happened to take a trip to Boston. The gentleman contacted me and said, hey, can I, come see the project? Or I think we had opened at that point, and we were about to open, and, I had him come by, and it was just an interesting, kind of unique opportunity, right? So, but with that said, most of the investors were local, and we were able to utilize our kind of marketing channels to raise awareness for the project. And of course, Mainvest has their own marketing targeted, I believe, geographically. So I think the combination of those things allowed us to kind of leverage our existing brand awareness and also reach some new people through the investment vehicle.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. It's definitely exciting to be able to continue celebrating Mike and Patty's success through the webinar and our social features and everything. And we appreciate you having used the platform. And I think we're ready for the next slide. Oh, there it is. Well, thank you, Bradley, and thank you, Mike, for joining this webinar. Just wrapping things up, and don't worry, we will have time for Q&A. We do have another webinar on deck for April 3rd, featuring Nina Chase and our VP of Growth and Partnerships, John Burke. And that's available on Eventbrite to get registered nice and early. And we're excited to see you all sign up. And now we can move on to the next slide, a Q&A. I would love to hear if anybody has any questions or comments about marketing, if we can really just all share our thoughts surrounding how small businesses can thrive through their digital communications and their content. I would love to hear that. Does anybody have a question? I'll give everybody a second to ponder. Anyone? Yeah, great question coming in from Isabel. How can small businesses find influencers? That's definitely a big one. Yeah, I don't know if Bradley or Mike, you want to touch on that. I can also speak to it. It's all your call.
Sure. Yeah. How to, so the question is how to find influencers.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say just staying current with, your local trends or your local, kind of like keeping your ear to the ground of what's current and what's cool in your area. I would say also just continuing to manage relationships, that you've curated in the past. That's been helpful to me. Like, um, when we create a relationship or engage with an influencer, then we really try to like follow up with them on their experience. Like Mike talked about how they put the guest experience really at the forefront, which I think is very true. Like they do a very good job of making sure that all the touch points that people have, whether it's like ordering online or coming into the store, they're all being met with like a positive experience. So we want to do the same when we're engaging with influencers. Like, how was the visit? What types of things would you suggest? What things did you like or not like? And then from there, like keeping in touch if they'd like to work with our other brands, or if they know of anybody that they think is, on the rise in the influencer space and doing cool things. Like I know you, Abigail, have been a big advocate for other people as well. Like you'll put somebody on that you think is doing a good job. And I think that Boston in general has a cool, like tight-knit foodie community that helps each other out.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to see even Mike and Patty's use the same influencers as Crazy Good Kitchen, another main best business in the Boston hub. So that's always neat to see. I know Kate's Plates has worked with both. Boston Food Dudes has worked with both restaurants. So yeah, great to see. Any other questions at all? I'll give everybody a second. Yeah, that's a great question. So did you engage, this is what John wrote, did you engage with a marketing agency or sales funnel company to aid your main best lift? Of course, it's been great featuring Bradley. He's from a third-party marketing agency who does work with Mike on marketing in general. But yeah, I think Bradley, your connection to Main Best, we would love to hear more about that. If that's
Yeah. Sorry. So the question is, sorry,
it is in the meeting chat. Do you have access to that on your end?
Did you engage with a marketing sales funnel to aid in your main best lift? So I mean, we didn't use like another third party sales funnel.
Yeah.
So we were primarily promoting through like email marketing, as well as definitely utilized a lot of like PR during that time frame. So reaching out to local publications, like editors that we know, places like Boston Magazine, the Food Lens, those type of like publications. And so that was helpful to push efforts during that time.
Awesome. Yeah, the Food Lens is a great publication. That's so exciting. Their content is fabulous. And then we have another question coming in. How can a small business know how much budget to allocate to influencers so as to not overpay or underpay? This is definitely a good one. I don't know if you want to touch on the pay for product, pay with product type of model that you have going on, or yeah, cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've tried like a variety of things, and Mike, you might be able to speak to it as well. Like we've toyed with different things. Like we've toyed with doing like an incentive structure where it's like, oh, if you hit this amount of views and help us go viral or semi-viral in Boston during this specific campaign, we can pay you out X number for that. I think it's super specific for what you're looking to push and what campaign it is. Like different campaigns have different goals, right? Like, so I would say maybe to like tap in on that a little bit more, as far as, because it's hard to give a set dollar amount depending on not really knowing the specific business that it's referring to. But yeah, I mean, I would say it's definitely beneficial, and there's more in the influencer, like, or in the social space now, as far as ROI that marketers can look at. So I would say for that person that asked, really look into like the insights of your influencer campaign. Like, I mean, Instagram has some good insights, but you can also get other software that allows you to see, like, was it worthwhile? And then from there, you can almost like, you can try out a couple of influencers, try out a couple of campaigns, and then almost like reverse engineer it. Like, okay, we spent X number of dollars to get these people in here, but what was the actual return? So yeah, I would say it's a little bit of like trial and error initially. And then it's just also like, what are you willing to put up for your marketing as a whole? And then kind of, yeah, reverse engineering, like, okay, 10%, 20% is going to be on influencers.
Definitely. Thank you for that insight. It's definitely hard to put a set dollar amount, because also influencers, like, if you do compensate them, give their content in a folder a lot of the time too. Like, content ownership is a big part of that. So yeah, great to chat about that. I don't know if there are any other questions at all. Anyone else? So who owns the content then? That's a great question. So if like an influencer gives you a folder of content, would that then be owned by Mike and Patty's? Do either of you have any insight into this sort of question?
I mean, it's on a case by case basis, but if we're going to work with an influencer and obviously compensate them, and that may or may not be an actual like dollars. There's other ways that we can kind of work with influencers to make sure that they're receiving like economic. They're basically getting compensated, not necessarily through like a direct pay, but regardless, it's on a case by case basis. And
Right.
It's ideally, if we're going to work with an influencer and there's some sort of compensation, like it's usually a co-owned, like where they're allowed to use the content, we're allowed to use the content, and that's pretty much. I mean, we're a restaurant. We're not like we're not like, these aren't like celebrity photo shoots where we're going national with a billboard. It's just posting something on social media that hopefully goes viral. So at the end of the day, we're going to probably co-own the content.
Yeah. And definitely a great part of the M&A brands is how quick you are to give credit where it's due. So I've constantly seen photo credit, video credit with the little camera emoji and the handle to the creator, which is great because people definitely want to know where the content's coming from.
For sure. Yeah, I think we definitely make it a point to always credit the creatives, and then even plug them if they're doing a really good job. Like we definitely will use our platform occasionally to show love for the specific creative. And it is very much a case by case basis. It's also depending on the scale of the audience that the person has, or if they're doing this as like a side gig and are happy to just come in, get some free food and take some pictures. That's awesome. If there's people that want some monetary value to it, or gift cards or whatever it might be, like we kind of have run the gamut as far as scale, but it really just, like Mike said, it's case by case. I'm just looking at this next.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And we can definitely jump back to that Vital Farms push.
Yeah.
When it came to criteria that you looked for, it just seemed like a great partnership all around for all of your brands and whatnot. But I would love to hear about if there was any other criteria when it came to Vital Farms. Are you looking for something in particular from your vendors, whether it be they're pushing creators on their own pages? Is there any other criteria?
I mean, yeah, Vital Farms does a great job of like storytelling, I would say. And they're also a little bit, I wouldn't say they're edgy, but they definitely like do live on the edge a little bit with their marketing, which a lot of our brands do. And like I'll say this is like kind of a side tangent, but like Mike, Anya, Steph, the whole team at M&A, like one of the things I love about partnering and working with them has been their ability to also give like creative freedom. Like they're very much all creative people as well. And we brainstorm on a lot of things, but I think they're, if you have a good idea with them and you present it in, a thoughtful way, they're very much like, all right, like run wild, let's make it happen, which with some other businesses is not always the case. So I think, that's like definitely kudos to them when they have a cool partnership like this Vital Farms partnership. They're like, okay, let's do it right. But run wild. Let's have some fun with it as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. Definitely being open to different creative work is something everybody should look for sure.
There was another question in here.
Did I miss
I
it?
think. What criteria? Do you see it?
Yes, I actually jumped.
I'm the one who asked it. Basically, I'm working with an organization that's actually trying to work with creatives or help people discover the creativity. And I've been noticing where I live, say in Waltham, I had 100 different organizations and businesses. And even if they're doing different, it's hard to get people to sort of do a cross promotion. Or like, for instance, if there was some kind of promotion where a baker and a brewer could, I'm just, what criteria would I look for, do you think, that would motivate them to consider working together? Because I'm finding a lot of passive aggressive resistance to that idea, even for businesses that aren't really, if you're doing just breakfast, you think maybe you could work with a restaurant that's only open for dinner and lunch. Maybe I'm just saying, what criteria would you look for? Like, what would be some basic points? I'm trying to anticipate what questions would be asked that I can answer if I wanted to get people to.
Yeah. I mean, I think just traditionally, definitely in like small towns too, or like small cities, you definitely notice that people do tend to work in like their own silos, like you're explaining. Like they're very much, they're probably focused on their operations and their day-to-day. So it's like, they might not see the correlation or like the benefit of like, oh, I do this, why would I partner with a brewery? Like we don't sell beer. Like they're very, I wouldn't say narrow-minded, but they're just thinking about their day-to-day, right? That's all that they know. So I would potentially try to find some commonalities that are like bigger than their business. Maybe phrase it as like more of a community building thing than necessarily a partnership with another business. Like those partnerships with the other businesses will naturally come, but maybe frame it as more of like, okay, we're all out here doing our own individual thing, but collectively we also all want a few things. Like we want our town to be X, Y, and Z. We want more foot traffic on this street, right? So if you're down the street from me, even if you sell ice cream and I sell beer, it might not seem like a correlation, but we want to drive traffic to this street. Or like, there's endless examples of how you could frame it. But yeah,
actually, if you've been to a bunch of ice cream places, the beer and ice cream correlation is a lot closer.
See,
Guinness flavored ice cream is surprisingly popular.
Yeah. So yeah, run with it. I totally I guess I was just kind of like grabbing two random things, but yeah, I think overall just focusing on like the greater vision rather than the specific correlation between the two. If you're reaching, seems like there's some like hesitancy from some people, or like you said, passive aggressiveness. So maybe focus on like the bigger goals rather than the specific business goals.
So
Totally.
the vision more than the tactic. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
That was a great question. Thanks for joining and everything. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a great question.
Yeah. Is there something that a group like Mainvest would do to help some of this cross-functional advertising? For our side of things, we do have a business success team that is eager to chat with you about what other brands have done on their Mainvest campaign. We have seen people run different dinners for their investors and hype up their product in different ways with t-shirts and merch for when they unlock a certain level of investing. So that's something that we've definitely seen before, and it's a lot of our team being eager to connect with you about what we can do with your Mainvest campaign on the business success side. Great question. Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, let me give everybody a second for a few more questions, if there's anything else.
Nice. Thank you, Don.
Okay, awesome. Oh, thanks, Don. That's so kind of you. And it is the best breakfast ever. I'm excited for you to try it. Yeah. Thanks for joining, Don. Did you say something else, Bradley? I don't know if the audio just paused.
Oh no, I was gonna say definitely give the fancy a try.
Yes, it's excellent. We've come full circle with the egg puns today. And I hope I didn't leave any of you in a scramble. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining today. If you want to get connected, here's a few ways to get connected with Mike and Patty's Breakthrough Marketing, and also, of course, Mainvest. We'll be sending a few wrap-up emails at the end of this webinar, and we appreciate you all for joining. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Bradley. And shout out to Boss Food Dudes.
This is great. This made me all yoked up. Thank you.
Oh
See,
wow.
I didn't even think
Who
of
was
that
that?
one. That's
Who-
cracking me up, honestly. That's good.
It's so bad. but
It's
good.
dangerous, honestly. The options of
Yeah.
egg puns, there's too many. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining. And if anyone's looking to get in touch, mainvest.com/raise is your go-to. And feel free to reach out to us at info@mainvest.com. Yeah,
Beautiful.
amazing. Everyone have a great day.